Michael.
You did it again!
Oh,
Don't leave
Freeman.
it, leave it.
I
No,
always
no, it's
want to
cute.
call you Michael.
I love it. Leave it, love it, love it, love it. So that's all right. Hello, Aurélie.
Yay! Good to see you. This time I'm in France. I really love doing this.
Yeah, and this time it's morning here for me. So you're just around supper time.
Yeah, 6 p.m.
I love it. All right, so let's start off with intention. Let's set an intention for our work together today, just to get going, get grounded, get centered, arrive in the present moment. So go ahead, just take a deep breath, and let me know, and just speak from your heart. What is your intention for our work today, together today?
To reconnect, to see where I'm at, and open something new.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And my intention today is to work with you on reconnecting, to support you in really taking a look at, a compassionate look at where you're at, and then open you up to something new.
Cool.
Fantastic. All right. So wonderful. So you've been in France now for almost a week. Is it a week? Yeah.
Even over a week, yeah, since the 28th. So yeah, about a week, yeah.
Wow. All right. So how's it going?
It's interesting because in France the culture of food, you know, and coming back here always challenged me. But I've been in Paris for a week working hard, and I just had a wonderful time. I had set your, you know, there was this vision,
Yeah.
your Christmas vision. And so when I was in the plane, or you had suggested I do this before I get here, which I have, which has totally supported me. I would love to share it.
Please.
And I hope I did it the right way.
There is no right way. There is no right way.
What I did is that I created an intention statement.
Beautiful.
I'm looking at my journal too, but I created which is the same one than yours, because then I noticed that you have connection, needs, service, clarity. So I kept those 4. And then my intention statement is the same one that you had on there, which is my intention during my French trip, September, October 2010, is to work, to stay clear, make connections, meet my needs consciously, and be of loving service.
I love it. I love it. Beautiful.
And then I looked, okay, what kind of connection? Because I mean, you had an example here, and so I did. I'm just showing that for people watching, but so in connection, I wrote everything that what was connection for me. So I wrote, I'm checking with my team to make sure the Juicy Tour progresses. I am being loving and compassionate with my mom, dad, Guy, and friends. I'm sharing insights with friends, but also video blogs and recording, and I see my grandma. So that was the connection. And then the needs, I was like, I want to attract new clients and income. I'm walking in nature and run outside. I am balanced and take good care of health and energy level. I meet new great man in France. Ooh la la, I haven't checked that one out yet.
Yeah.
I send more files to edit for my book, you know, things like that.
So, great man in France, I want to pause there for a second, because this is very important. I mentioned to you we're going to do a process called preparing for a mate. I want to explain this to you in a couple different ways. And I had said before that the preparing for a mate process will be very important on your weight release journey. And there's a reason for this. I'm going to explain this, though, in sort of broad terms so that we work together. You and I both work with energy, right? And you reset your vibration. You're very conscious of your energy. Where is your energy going? How are you using it? Is it efficient? Is it directed? Is it focused? Is it with intent? Yada, 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 right?
Yeah.
By the way, I said this to you before, and I'll say it again. You're going to move very fast, because a big part of the work that I teach, you've already done. What what I want to tell you, which is the big secret in my mind of why you're working with me, is that there is a reason. Well, let's go back to energy for 1 second. All right, so what we both know about energy is energy flows. It operates as a wave. And the wave, just like in quantum physics, can become a particle, can become a thing when it's directed, channeled, and observed, right? Mm-hmm. Totally clear on that? Mm-hmm. All right. What happens with waves is waves can't come together. We call this a flow, being in the flow, right? Being in the, and then synchronicities start to occur and all kinds of magic occurs. This is the law of abundance. That's what we're working with. However, what interrupts the flow? What interrupts the flow is what I call the split, okay? In order for there to be a flow, there has to be congruity, right? Everything has to fit together. If it doesn't at any point, if there's any incongruity, it stops the energy. So you can be 90% in a flow and have just one little piece that's incongruent, and it can throw off the whole trajectory. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
All right. I had to make a decision this morning if I was going to skip ahead, and I made a decision to do it because you're in France, and I think what's going to happen is we can turn up the volume a little bit. This is such an opportunity, I can't afford to miss it. You ready?
Yeah.
Your incongruity is that you have rejected and denied orally. If in order for you to step into all the things that you want in your life, that includes the kind of healthy, loving relationship you want, that includes financial abundance, everything, you must integrate into every part of your experience this aspect of you that has been denied and rejected.
I like that.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. So the opportunity in France, which is so important, is going to France is the best setting I know of to heal and grow.
I'm ready for it.
Good, because if you're in the United States, there's a part of you that can't. That it's like out of context.
Right.
Right. But France is totally in context. It works.
Yeah.
So I want to just work with the intention a little bit that this is prime soil for you to plant the seeds that are going to grow. And it has to do with integrating. So let's talk about the selves. There are 3 of them. There is the authentic self. And we've talked about this. When you're on a date or you're in your groove or you're doing your videos or all the ways in which you come out with this very wonderful. It's the joy. It's all the qualities that are you. It's all your gifts, talents, and abilities. That is authentic self, right? That's one level. Then we have what we call the false self. The false self is the self that you constructed in large part to defend yourself. And we've talked about this before, right? Mm-hmm. And in some part, your personality is defensive, which, again, you don't have to give it up. I said that to you, I think, in the first session. Don't worry. You don't have to give that up, but you do have to integrate it. So you know when you're being defensive and you know when you're being authentic so that you're not faking it. Because that incongruity will screw up everything. All right?
Yeah.
And then we have the third part, which is the denied self. Sometimes we call this shadow work. I'm a little apprehensive to do that because it kind of denotes a heaviness. Honestly, it can be very light sometimes. It's really just integrating an aspect of you. What is so important about food and why weight release is so important for you is that your denied self gets acted out in your relationship with food.
Totally.
That is the place where it is amplified. That is the place where it is most easily recognizable. So that is the place, in fact, where, that, again, we talk about your master teacher. The people you struggle with are your master teacher. That's true. They come in. All they're doing, and you and I both know this, is all they're doing is reflecting back. You are 100% responsible for your reality. 100%. And just a quick note, and this may be for listeners because I believe you really get this, is that responsibility often feels like a burden. It's not. It's responsibility. Responsible, able to respond. So by being aware, conscious, being compassionate, one quick note on compassion. Compassion allows us to see clearly. Anytime we are in defense, anytime we are being defensive, we can't see clearly. It clouds our perception. And literally, it clouds our perception. And you've talked to people like David Hamilton. I work with Mark Waldman, who wrote how God changes the brain. I work with them all often. And so what we talk about oftentimes is the prefrontal cortex. It's called the executive planner. It's the ability to make good decisions. It also, by the way, is where compassion lies. And that's where I think Hamilton calls it the oh shoot, he's got a practice for working with that. It's a meditative practice. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the opposite of that is the amygdala. That's the fight or flight mechanism. It's the old brain. It's the reptilian brain. And what happens when we're, for example, under stress? Stress releases, the adrenal glands release cortisol. Cortisol has been shown in studies to actually cloud perception. You can't see clearly. Prefrontal cortex kind of shuts down. Executive planner shuts down, and we retract into fight or flight mode, right? Mm-hmm. That all is a lot of science and yada, yada, yada. In very simple terms, compassion allows you to see clearly. Defensive, anything defensive clouds your perception. You can't see clearly. Stop there. But I don't mind giving the context of it, because there are these wonderful scientists who are starting to say what those of us that work in the spiritual field have been saying for a long time, and they're just coming in and proving it, which is great. I mean, they can study it, they can measure it, and they can say, you guys are right, and we all pat ourselves on the back and go, we know that. But look, when I'm under stress, I eat. I didn't need someone to tell me cortisol was being released in my bloodstream. I didn't necessarily need to know that. I know that when I'm stressed out, I eat, because that's how I comfort. That's how I deal with. That's how I cope with, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the larger implications. So let's go back and let me just tie this together. What we're doing, and I've said this now, this will be the third time I've said it in the 3 times we've worked together, and I'll say it 20 more times, is we're healing the split. We're coming to where, Lilou, there's only one of you. There's only one of you. It's the integrated self. In order to do that, we have to make room for Aurélie. Mm-hmm. All right. I know that was a lot of talking. Forgive me.
No, that was very interesting. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, good. Okay, good. All right, so then let's get to work, because this, again, is the fertile territory for you to really check out where a lot of your perceptions, misperceptions were born. In fact, heal them. And again, heal them is simple process. Not easy, but simple. Is apply compassion. So when you find yourself triggered, and a lot of times this is like a flush of shame, for example, okay? Because realize we've talked before about breaking agreements. And the agreements aren't just with other people, they're agreements with yourself. Right. Who are you going to betray if you start telling the truth? And so what we do in life to protect ourselves again is we create the lies, we create the stories, and we tell the stories, and then all of a sudden we realize the stories are not true. And we get flushed with shame. We don't know what to do. It's almost like we're back at the moment in time where the event that triggered the reaction, where we created the story, is been activated. So we have to apply compassion. We have to start to step into that part of us that got denied, rejected, the misinterpretations from our past. So where you are right now in France, in your mother's home, with people who you grew up with, is you're in the fertile territory to do deep healing work. So I want you...
Yeah, that's especially here where... I mean, right now, just been here 2 days and I already feel the whole anxiety and mother thing coming up. I mean, I already feel it. And then today I've been not overeating lately, but now I'm back here. I'm just... That's the only place I know where to... I mean, that's the only place within myself I can connect, is with the food. I really...
Well, it's a coping mechanism.
And to be compassionate about that right now, I feel very far away from it.
Great. Okay, good. So the first step that you just did is the observer. So tracking your experience moment to moment, day to day, is going to be really important. It's as if I'm sending you on a mission, like you're an archaeologist and you're going to dig something up, okay? But it's a little more like a scientist, where you're really studying Lilou's experience. So I want you to activate the scientist or the observer who's watching how it feels to be Lilou right now, today, tonight, tomorrow morning. As you walk through this, be the scientist. And what's going to help you, and why the vision really helps, is you may need to have some rituals, some practices, some things that you've identified and intend to do, and then do them incredibly consciously as a way of taking care of yourself. Because the truth is, if you don't take care of yourself consciously, you will revert to the behaviors, which in essence were the ways you try to take care of yourself unconsciously.
Well, on a positive note, though, is that when I've been eating recently, maybe not today, but recently, I've been thinking of, okay, what am I actually feeding within myself?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Bing, bing, bing. We have a winner. That's right.
And then when I ask myself that question and be conscious in that second, I breathe it in automatically and I feel that I'm feeding another part of me I haven't been feeding. Like, it's really strange feeling that I don't know of. And I'm like, it's kind of like I'm pausing and I feel I'm nourishing really my body instead of something else.
You got it.
But
So
it's like it happened few times, really. But
no, that's fine. Listen, we call these points of reference. The idea, deep breath. Yeah, the idea that you're supposed to be there already is going to be a tripping cord. Look, the fact that you've done all the work you've done is brilliant. That's really going to help us. But in the territory that we're in, there's a lot. It's not what you've been working on. I mean, don't get me wrong. The two will help each other. So here's the deal. We call them points of reference. Every moment where you interrupt a pattern and you have a quality of experience, that is a point of reference. And all we need to do really is link together enough of these points of reference to where you can ritualize the behaviors, and to a very large degree you begin to dwell there. Okay? I'm going to describe it in terms of neural pathways. So habitual behavior and habitual thinking, the two are actually two sides of the same coin, are like an old road. Okay? And if I've said this before, forgive me, but I may say it again as well because it's really important. The old road is the way that you've gotten needs met. It's the patterns you've done. They're habitual. You don't even think about them. You're on autopilot. It's a default mechanism. That's what you go to. What we're doing consciously is we're building the new road. But the new road doesn't replace the old road. It runs parallel to it. So you will be on the new road, and then without knowing it, we there?
Yeah.
Okay. Without knowing it, you will slip into the old pattern. You will. The idea, though, with compassion and observation is you just gently nudge yourself back over, or you interrupt and move back over consciously. I don't care. But the point is, this is a new road you're building. So the fact that it only has 1 mile, or you only built 2 feet, or you've only done it 3 times, I don't care. Those are points of reference. Along the way, the road is not built overnight. The road is built brick by brick, stone by stone, as you incrementally add in these things to where at some point you dwell primarily on the new path. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, good. So what you are feeding. Okay, mindfulness, which is just becoming conscious. It usually happens by taking a breath, arriving in the present moment, bringing our consciousness to just what we're doing. Not the past, not the future, but now. Mindful eating is a wonderful opportunity to be mindful. It is also a wonderful opportunity to be intentional. My intention with this food is to fuel my body. What I said before is your more profound intention, your mission in life, what wakes you up in the morning and puts you to bed at night, this sense of imperative, that actually can really be supportive of the incremental little changes you make. Because the little changes are all feeding, there's the language, the big one. And the two, if there's an incongruity in your life, it's going to block you every time. So you can only go so far until you become congruent. Mm-hmm. Now, congruent can, by the way, include an understanding that you're not always perfect, that you're not, it's not some kind of, it's very forgiving. Congruent really starts with self-acceptance, and then it's just how do I nurture myself? The nurturing can be 50% there, and you can be completely congruent, and the world will start to feed you all kinds of wonderful things. But the congruent part is just what we're working towards.
Okay.
Perfect. So what are you feeding? That's a great thing to ask when you sit down to eat. And that's why having an intention, saying a little something internally before you take a bite, is your relationship with food, is your relationship with your body. That is a wonderful practice. Breathing between bites as with the intention to remain conscious. Asking your body, have you had enough? Um, One of the things I do, because my executive planner, right, my ability to choose my food goes out the window when the dopamine and all the neurotransmitters start firing because I'm putting sweet, salty, crunchy into my mouth. Okay. So what I do is I often plan my portions, not as a diet. There's no
Yeah.
restriction. Positive choice. What do I want to eat? I still eat burritos. I confess that. I eat half a burrito.
Yeah.
Actually, I eat the whole burrito. I just eat it at two separate times.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you shared last time. No, but I can see that most of the time actually, I mean, by observing, who I'm being and what I'm doing, eating, I could totally see that my intention, I mean, what I'm really clearly putting out is that I'm not going to be full with the food I'm going to eat. I'm going to put on weight no matter, what I put in my mouth. This and that. So that's really what I project. If I'm not being conscious and I don't set an intention before I eat, then I'm in automatic mode and putting out that exact thing. So of course then I'm overeating because I had it already that my intention was, unconscious intention was that I would not be filled up and I'll be hungry soon and that I'm going to put on weight. So yeah,
That's right.
my body is going to respond to that.
It will respond to that. You got it. You absolutely got it. 1000%. So we want to work on consciously fueling your body. We want to work by consciously fueling your intent, your greater intent, so that that's what's running the show. I love it.
Long term, permanently.
Yeah, let's take a deep breath on that one. I agree, but let's look at, I'll tell you, I find myself, so what has happened for me is I now am a friend with the part of me that I have in the past denied, rejected, this denied self, this part of me that feels vulnerable, very similar to your vulnerability. So my vulnerability acts out to get my attention. My vulnerability acts out to get my attention. Mm-hmm. Here's good news. I still overeat. I still engage in behaviors that are basically triggered. And what they are now is they're indications for me to pay attention to a part of myself that I'm not paying attention to, period. Mm-hmm. So the game has changed. The game has changed. It's not about trying to cut that part out of me. It's about integrating that part into my experience, which includes overeating. It includes defensive eating, emotional eating. There. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on one sec. That one's dead. I think you picked the wrong one. Or you didn't erase the first one. I'm going to guess that the first one never got erased. So I would just switch. I don't really care when you do it. Sorry, he was taping just so we had a backup of this. All right. So let's go with let me look at this real quickly. I have a list of things I wanted to cover.
What's cool is that I've noticed with doing the vision for France just in itself, then I got to see and be clear on my needs and how I'm going to be in service and connect and be clear. And that, I think that has been major in me being conscious and more there for others.
Beautiful.
More there for me, and feeding from that instead of being afraid of connecting or not doing, not being good enough or disappointing, which I kind of saw when I looked at the limiting belief exercise.
Great. Really great.
So yeah, that's like a checkout process,
Yeah, check out versus check in. And it's in there. It's are you checking in, are you checking out, and how you do it, and how that gets triggered. Now, there's other part of this, too, which is you're healing a lineage. I think I've said this before. Forgive me if I repeat myself, but these pieces, it's okay if I do because it's important to recognize.
It's always good to rehear because sometimes I only hear it half.
That's right. No, that's true of you and everybody else. So the part of your mom, the part of your father, the part of your grandparents, the part of your great-grandparents, people you've never met, that has been passed along is the part that you are healing by becoming integrated. So there are these things that we are inherit. We inherit them. Agreements, right? Tribal agreements about who we are and what we are. that, again, we only heal anything when we move into a place of compassion and we actually begin to work with it. So there are things in my own behavior that I found reprehensible and I didn't like, and they were very much the parts that I reacted to in my father or my mother or whomever. And the work for me is to begin to have compassion for them in myself. Here's the crazy part. My relationship with my parents is so much better. When my father does some of these behaviors, I don't react. I'm very nurturing and caring towards him. And guess what happens? He stops doing them. It's classic. All that represents is the wounded part of him. And all the wounded part of him ever needed was compassion and love. And it never got it. So it kept acting out, right? So that's huge. So know that part of the deeper or more profound intention is to heal your lineage.
Right.
All right, let's get down to some nitty-gritty. Let's see how things are going. Safe zone. How is your safe zone? Are you working on that? Is that, be honest, it doesn't matter. So I gave you the meditation CDs, which don't have the visualization, which may work, may not work for you. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a great resource potentially for your safe zone, but you create the safe zone that works for you. So if you have a meditative process, if you have a journaling process, if you have time that you set aside for solitude, we talked about solitude versus isolation, for solitude, how's your safe zone coming?
Well, I did listen once to the meditation. I do have the habit of reading my gratitude poem in the morning and setting intentions for the day. So that works most of the time. I do that, and when I don't, then the day just doesn't go as well.
Yeah. Are there breaks in your day? Do you have set times where you check in?
No.
Inward? That's going to be important. So I probably told you about the client. Maybe I didn't. He had a little digital watch, and every hour it would beep, and it would remind him to breathe. And all he would do is take 2 or 3 breaths consciously. Oh, yeah. And his life changed dramatically. Like, this was a business executive at Toyota. I mean, major player. And he was stressed out. He came to me for some coaching, and we set up this thing. And he, like, just that, he said, I'm so productive. And there's other things he integrated into his practices. That's not the only thing, but just that alone was such a huge way to consistently remind him to check in so he wasn't checking out. So let's think of times in the day. Now, I have rituals I'll share with you. I walk in the morning. I walk in the evening with my wife. It's how we check in. And I do meditation usually around 1:30. It's after lunch. So I go back to work for a little bit, but I often take a break in the afternoon, and I go do 20 minutes, which is the 20 minute that I sent to you. So I do that, the 20 minutes to check in. Thursdays I do yoga. Sunday mornings I do yoga. These are the ways in which I've established my self-care practices. But the safe zone, the place that I go into to take care of myself, some of my solitude time. My morning walk is my solitude time. My meditation midday is my solitude time. It's where I come back to center and I ground myself. And then when I'm out in the world, the strategies so that I remember to breathe. I take breaks. I go to the restroom. My walking to the restroom is a walking meditation. The ways that so that I stay conscious, and intention is huge too. Before I go on meetings, I'll stop in my car. I'll take a deep breath. I'll set an intention. Even while I'm sitting there with someone, if the conversation is getting a little wonky, I'll internally just go into my internal safe zone, eyes open, looking at them the whole time, but consciously kind of going inward and setting a new intention so I come back to what it is I'm going for. So let's really work on that safe zone.
Yeah. Okay,
perfect. The first practice, I'll come back to that. I know what we need to do. Okay, so you're in France. I have an assignment for you.
All right.
I want you to have a conversation with Orly, and I want you to really ritualize this and make it sacred. If there's a place that has a particular, I would say probably in nature, but I'm not sure, some place that has a quality that relates to a memory or a series of memories or a kind of experience, somewhere you went as a child, is there something like that where you can take Aurélie for a walk and have a conversation with her?
Yeah, in nature, I guess.
I'm going to be more specific. Is there a place So I don't know. Has your mother moved from where you guys grew up? Maybe she did. Is there a place where you
She did,
grew up?
yeah, she did, but when I was 14, 15.
So I wonder if, and maybe this isn't possible, but I wonder if, what, how far are you from the place where you grew up? I realize you were born in Santa Barbara, so you've kind of been lots of different
Well,
places.
since 8 years old, I mean, not far, like 15 minutes drive.
Okay, this is the one. You ready? Is there a place you can go back to? And literally, I want you to travel back. I want you to get into the body of Aurelie when you get there. I want you to take her, and I want you to take a journal, and I want you to have a conversation with her about how it feels to be her. And I want you to tap in energetically to her. And it's a setup. It's a conscious setup. Going to that place is a setup. It will set you up to tap in easier because there's the sense
Right.
memory.
Well,
There's all the.
I used to walk from that place. I mean, I could drive there and stop the car because I used to walk from home to the school.
Are you open to doing that?
Yeah.
I want you to have a lot of reverence for this because, again, we really need to heal the split. When we heal the split and we begin to nurture Aurelie to in your experience, the fact that she's been relegated to the back room and ignored ain't working. So we've got to get her integrated because I'll tell you another big secret. She's where your creativity lies. She actually holds the key that will unlock the door to your positive potential. She really does. Even though she's been relegated and judged, if you can unlock the part of her that feels shy and why, the part of her that feels vulnerable, the hurt part of her, all the misinterpretations that are hers, you have to heal now. I mean, not all of them, but the point is getting into the healing of the misinterpretation. Anytime I feel shame in my life, and I get them as hits, they're like a hit of shame. It's like a flush. It just comes over me. I used to dread that. Now I stop the world when that happens. Whenever I can, I stop where I'm at and I observe it. I am so grateful for this.
Right.
I am so grateful. It was hell living in denial of who I am. It was more than hell. And I integrate it. And it's funny, I'll be someplace like out in the world, I'll have the flush of shame, I'll get connected to it, and then I come back to the table or wherever I am, and people will be like, your eyes just got a little brighter. Like there's something just, what did you just go do? Did you go, people don't know what happened. But it's that now I'm integrated. Now the little boy that's shy and scared and overwhelmed and feels misunderstood and so forth is in my body, is in the room, and he's being cared for, and I'm not dying. My greatest fear is that you're going to find out that I wet my bed till I was 12. My greatest fear is that you're going to find out that I'm really scared. My greatest fear is that you're going to find out that I'm, and now it's okay. And it's so interesting. Sometimes the quality of the conversation will change, and I'll reveal some small piece of my humanity, and it creates a bond. It's not a manipulation. It's not there are pieces of it where I kind of know what I'm doing, but it's like I'm a deeper dude. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. I'm a deeper dude when I allow that guy into the room. Yeah. And in the past, boy, that flush of shame would come up. I'd start reacting. I'd check out. The opposite was true. I became, the me that's present and loving and open is gone, and all I am is defensive. My wife says that you become a jerk. You become
and that's when
arrogant.
You eat.
Oh, absolutely. Then I'm gone. I drink too. And then it really gets messy. If I'm feeling vulnerable and I drink, it gets nothing short of sloppy.
Yeah.
Because I'm being unconscious, and it's all coming out unconsciously, and I've taken the layers of then I'm really like I took all my layers off when I'm drinking, and then it's really a mess, Then I'm a mush.
Thanks for sharing so authentically your journey too, because that helps. And so, what kind of question do I ask Aurélie then when I'm on this walk?
How it feels to be her.
How it feels to be her.
Yeah, because what's happened over the last however many years, decades, whatever, is that her feelings have been rejected and denied. They don't get integrated. You don't have a place for her. She's been, literally, this aspect of you has been neglected.
Oh,
and
boy.
I would say,
oh boy.
I would say from the moment of your parents' divorce, some part of you, the human part of you, the optimistic part of you, the innocent part of you was cut off. And you need your innocence back because that's the gold. The innocence is where your excitement is, really. I mean, you still have a piece of excitement. I'm not taking that away from you, but it's still, your excitement comes out in personality. So you've found a way to be excited, but you know, and let's talk really realistically. Look, intimacy is not possible unless you get back your innocence. Not in a naive way. It's the stages of life, right? The stages of life are you start as a fool, then you go through all these life stages, and if you do your work, you end as a fool. But you end as a fool who knows you're a fool, right? Mm-hmm. You start as innocent and you end as innocent. That you really understand, and this is deep and profound and spiritual, that God never judged you in the first place. Your innocence is that you're a precious child of God in whom he's well pleased. But you go through this whole arc of being confused about that, right?
Right.
She's innocent. She didn't do anything wrong. And every time she comes up in your life and you press her down, you're discrediting the most deep, most lovable part of yourself.
And you know, boy, this is going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to do this walk of like 15-20 minutes from school that I used to, and I could totally do that. And I have to say that on the way used to be this sweet shop, you know, where I would just like buy this whole thing of sweets for like 50, you know, francs at the time. It was like that much. I mean, that was like a lot of money in sweets. And we would share it with all my friends, like especially like I was raised in a Catholic school, so we had like especially one day, like we had Catholic, you know, teaching, and we would just like eat those sweets during the time because we were in mini group and we just pass them along. And I used to just supply the whole group with this whole thing. And I would go on the way, you know, and get some more and eat some. And there's so this walk is perfect walk to do, right? Because I mean, this is gonna come up.
It will.
Oh my God.
This is sacred work. We call it the sacred wound, and it is. The part of us that is wounded is sacred. And again, most of our lives we've gone the opposite. We saw it as something that needed to be fixed, or denied, or repressed. And that is the opposite of what is true. Mm-hmm. This is, I'm not lying to you. This is the key that will unlock the door that will allow you intimacy, will allow you the full range of your creativity, will start to draw in a whole lot. So all of the setting of your vibration, all of the channeling of intent, all of that this is foundational. This will now support that in a way that you can't even imagine at this moment in time. But as you become integrated and there's no more split, and even the part of you that is still reacting in the world is integrated and loved and accepted, now it's just part of your experience. It's not something that needs to be fixed. It's part of you. It's a reflection back to you of your humanity. So I'm still an overeater. I just recognize when I'm overeating that it's feelings I'm repressing or it's stress that's going on. And I have the ability sometimes to interrupt it. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I go pretty far with it before I interrupt it.
So let me just ask you again about this walk. Do you actually take a pen and pencil and write along some things, or do you just really there to experience?
I would try to record it one way or another. I would take away to...
Well, I get the dictaphone as I do with my books.
Perfect. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. Yeah, you know, look it. You do video too. You may want to. You choose, but you may want to
take my video. Perfect.
And then you may want to talk to her later. So as you allow to embody her, imagine it like an acting exercise or a channeling exercise where you actually take on her voice. Let it be a little girl's voice. Let her literally speak.
Oh my goodness.
No one ever has to see it, by the way. You really, this is for you. It's very appropriate that you just do this for yourself.
Yeah.
Good. All right. The other side of this, which I don't know if it's too important, but I wrote it, is give the rebel some expression. I looked at your last. This is a while back because we're gonna do the coaching before you left, so I wrote that down. If that fits, know that it's not a bad idea. Give the rebel some expression. Relationship food. We already talked about this.
Rebel?
Food is not,
which rebel? I'm not a rebel. No,
yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm a rebel. What?
Yeah, no. Well, the idea that someone's telling you to do something and that you don't want to,
oh
it's
my God,
a very
I'm totally a rebel.
Yeah, it's the teen part of you. So again, this sometimes comes out sideways because often this aspect of us doesn't get fully integrated. And it often comes out in food. I mean, again, that's where people. It's so interesting. I'll tell you a little quick anecdote, little story. So I started working with Diane Kress, who's amazing. She wrote a book called, it's a #1 New York Times bestseller called Metabolism Miracle, about metabolism, because I always want to figure out the science too. I mean, I want to know everything. I want as many tools in my toolbox as possible. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. Her and I started to work together, and I said to my wife, I had the book. I said, you got to read this book, and I'd like to do. It's like stage 1 of her process, and it doesn't matter. I told my wife about it, and my wife doesn't even know what it was. But yesterday we were at dinner, and she said, I've been overeating. I said, really? What's that about? And she goes, because you said we're going to go on a diet. And she said, it's the rebel in me, this little voice in me that wants to say screw you, and wants to get her whatever in before it's taken away. Yeah. So anyhow, the rebel voice can be very destructive in our lives, but it doesn't have to be. It actually can be incredibly constructive. We can actually consciously channel that energy into all manner of creativity. My rebel is such a good writer. I have to tell you how good my rebel is. The soft, mushy part of me, not the best writer. I mean, it's fine. I can write from that place. But the rebel is freaking hysterical. He's got an edge to him. Again, I write in my book, there's 3 poems. I think one of them is very rebel. If you read it, then it is. The third one, I think, is really rebel. If you read it, you're going to laugh. It's like, that's not Freeman. But it's totally me. It's a rebel expression. I told you about the play I wrote. That's just, I'm going to submit it. It's so good.
Well,
and it's so sharp edged.
Interesting enough, though, I've been starting to do more videos in French. And it's not my rebel side, but my, I guess, a funny part of me, because I just couldn't talk about the universe, angels, or white light meditation in normal French speaking. So I've been doing those videos where I'm totally, making fun of not the practice, but I'm just totally being, joking and getting the message through as, a little rebel in me that is just, but it's so much fun. I just so love it. People in France, the response has been tremendous. Like, the videos just been going all over the place. The Rebel
is so much fun. The Rebel is so much fun.
And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I see angels, huh? No problem. And I just keep on joking like that. And I don't know where I get this humor from. I'm like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Like, I never saw myself like this. I'm not there in English, but that was my expression in French.
Yeah. And so again, let's integrate. So one part of this, it does. And so let me just frame this back for you. So one part of this is probably defensive. That's kind of the part of you, like, they may not understand. So here I'm defending myself. But again, what I've said before is you don't need to give that up. You just integrate the part of you that says, oh, I recognize that's what I'm doing. So look, you get to have your entire personality. We just want to integrate the part of you that it may be in reaction to, so that you get to have the full enchilada or burrito, half and half, right? Take this half and that half, and know that you get to have the whole thing. So all you're doing is consciously finding rebel expression versus unconsciously.
Yeah.
You get to have that part of you. It's brilliant. Excellent. I'm so thrilled. That's exciting. All right, let me run through all of my list because I don't want to miss anything. Okay. Relation to food, got that. Rebel, got that. Body image. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the last piece really that's important in my mind is, remember, resistance is your teacher. There's going to be lots of moments I would imagine, in your France experience where this is actually a great example of where resistance may be a teacher, so that you're negotiating and taking care of the part of you that doesn't want to be misunderstood consciously. But now integrate the part of you that doesn't want to be misunderstood and say, so I don't know what it's going to look like, but let me just illustrate it. So perhaps you're doing the personality, and then a part of you allows in, and a part of me want you to like me. I mean, how you'd say that and what the words are. So I don't want you to feel misunderstood. And sometimes when this stuff happens, I don't know what to do with it. Just that kind of statement, I don't know what to do with it sometimes, is very human and very real. And what that does is it allows all the other people who have these kinds of experiences and don't know what to do with it, permission.
Hang on,
Does that make sense?
I totally checked out. Can you repeat that?
Okay. That was great consciousness. So you got a great observer. I mean, just point of reference that you go into your thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which in large part are negotiating. You're negotiating in your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say something, you're trying to figure it out. You leave what's happening because you feel like you have to grasp onto it and figure it out in that moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was watching, but totally, I was just somewhere else. I was just not present, and I want to get that.
Yeah, okay. So, okay. Look, the integration of... All right, let's go back to the rebel expression, which is the part of you that's rebelling and in a particular way defending yourself because in a deep, profound way, you don't want to be misunderstood. Did I get that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So the integration will be to still do exactly what you're doing and integrate in some piece of your truth. And you can say it however you want. It's actually allowing for the part of you that says, look, when I see these angels or I hear these voices, a part of me feels crazy or is concerned that I don't want to be misunderstood. I mean, I don't want to give it to you because it has...
That's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did on that video. And I'm joking about, I know this sounds crazy. I'm even saying it, but I'm joking about it.
Perfect. Okay,
so
great.
I feel that piece. I mean, this is a big piece for me. Just that right there. Self-expression in France, to have found my tone of voice so I could let it out in a funny, rebellious way, just being me, and I'm having fun, and then ultimately I don't even care if people like the video or not, because this is really my message. I'm making fun of myself.
Yeah.
Not of myself in a disrespectful way. Not in any way. I'm really, sharing the message that I thought, is important.
Everything you just said, I'm totally with, except for one little piece. So let me just first say a couple things. I have found my tone of voice. I have negotiated with the part of me that doesn't want to be misunderstood and found this way to put it out. Now, a part of you is saying, I don't care what people think, and I'm okay with that. And a part of you does.
Right.
So, look, I don't want to be misunderstood, but here's the difference. But I'm willing to risk that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very different. So, I, in my life, experienced fear. In the past, I thought I had to overcome the fear. Now I understand, no, I need to integrate the fear. So I recognize that I'm scared, and I still do whatever I'm going to do. Scared, a part of me is scared to do it. Acknowledging that is such a blessing in my life. And it's wild because it translates.
You're good. You didn't let that slip.
No, I can't. Sorry. I got to call you on it.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, I do totally care.
Yeah, beautiful.
Probably too much, actually. That's the problem.
Well, the too much is a judgment, but let's just talk about it. Sometimes in the past, the degree to which you care has felt like too much.
Yeah.
Look, if you draw in the people who love and accept you for everything you are, there is no more too much. I've told you this before. The two things I believe were wrong with me growing up was that I was too sensitive and I talked too much. That's the best part of me. Mm-hmm. So I had to find a wife who was willing to be married to a very sensitive man who talks too much. I had to find a best friend who wanted to be around a guy who gets really excited and starts jumping up and down in the middle of a restaurant because we had a good idea. And so I hang out with Barnett Bain, who's just a blessing in life. I'll tell you. I'll have to tell you offline. It's very exciting. Anyhow, but that's it. It's been a lifetime journey. So many times I tried to fit a square peg into a round hole. So many times what I drew in, honestly, was someone who rejected and denied me. But it wasn't them. I drew in a person to reflect back to me the part inside of me that was rejecting and denying me. Yeah. But more and more in my life, I don't need to do that. And it isn't that they're doing anything wrong. It's nothing. I've really come to love myself to a degree where I don't need to draw in people to reflect back to me the part of myself I don't like. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So my intention for you, Lilou, is for you to love and accept every part of you, express every part of you. My intention and desire for you is for you to draw in people who love and accept every part of you, who acknowledge every part of you. I pray for you that you can meet people where that's what you bond over. You bond over your humanity, right? Versus bonding over some personality. Yeah. Your personality gets integrated, but it's authentic, and authentic includes orally, because the man or the best friend or the job or the whatever that's going to be most fulfilling must allow for orally to be fully present, vulnerable, shy, overwhelmed, scared, nervous, self-conscious, all of those things.
Yeah. Very cool.
That's it. So you got a little work to do, but I'm excited for you, because remember, your job, J-O-B, is to integrate, accept, and acknowledge and express every part of your humanity, every single part. And when you meet with resistance, it is your teacher. When you meet with behavior that in the past you thought was bad behavior, it is not. It is an opportunity for you to learn and grow by stopping, interrupting, acknowledging what's really going on for you, and caring for yourself. And the truth is, old road, new road. You're just learning to care for yourself. You've spent however long on that. This is brand new. In some very real way it is. I know in some way it's not, because you've been doing all this work, and I get that. But this is going to be, you're going to fly on this. I get that. You already are doing a lot of this. Again, you're doing the rebel expression without me ever saying it, so there's a part of you that already got it. You're already probably energetically one step ahead of me, and I'm just reminding you.
Very cool.
Remind.
So how about we do another one before within the next few days, so this way I do that walk and then we can...
Yes, and I also want you to do one other thing. Let me talk real quickly about your dreams. Do you dream a lot?
Lately I've been doing some little morning dreams, yeah.
Okay, track your dreams. They may get very vivid. So real quickly...
Well, that's one dream that I remember from this morning, for example, is... I haven't spoke to my friend Baptiste from Holland for a while, but I was in this dream and I was speaking to him, and he was like, Lilou, I don't get who you've been coming lately, You've been doing those videos, which I'm referring to the Rebel right now, videos from France, because he, I don't even know if he's seen it, but he's like, he was, judging those and thinking I'm going a little bit too much overboard and I shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like... And I was accepting that. I'm like, but, I'm who I am, and this is who I am really. Too bad, And it was this kind of weird dream right there that I really remember well still now.
Okay, so let's just talk about it, because the dreams, your dreams are everyone's dreams, are the language of the subconscious. There is a way, in fact, that the dreams, in a sensory way, are more accurate than the waking life. So when you have a sensation in the dream state, and you know how vivid and how tangible that feeling can be. You wake up with it, right? And you're like, whoa, what do I do with this? All I would ask you to do is sit in the vibration of the energy that you experience coming out of the dream, and really let it reflect back to you what your unconscious mind is struggling with, or what your unconscious mind is working to accept. Whatever. There's lots of pieces in the dream state that will become very important. It's very interesting. I'm not going to put this on you, but after you do the Lilou piece, the RLE piece, track your dreams. They may change slightly. I'm not putting that on you. Let's just see what happens, but I got a sneaking suspicion. And especially if imagery comes up, pay attention to the wheres of the dream, like all the little weird details, like, where it is in terms of like, setting, anything that might be coming in or coming through. Because children dream different than adults. All right, I'm telling you now. I was going to tell you this, but as you tap into Aura Lee, you may start having more childlike dreams, more of those pieces integrated in.
Very cool. I can see why.
Yeah, yeah. And if we want at any point, I happen to be very close friends with, I would say, in my mind, the best dream interpreter in the world. I mean, he's
very cool.
Bar none, he's extraordinary. Dr. Michael Lennox. He's a dear friend. He lives 10 blocks away. I meet him once a week for coffee. He's out of control. So if we ever want, and especially if imagery comes up and you get confused, we can always call him in. I could call him right now and he'd come and sit next to me and we'd talk about it. So know that's a resource that I have, and pretty much any time I want to do it.
That would be awesome to do that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what comes up. So, okay, dreams are covered. So you have your work cut out for you, and let's. I'll have Jose email you so we can figure out the next time and timing. I absolutely would love to do one more before France ends. Absolutely. I think it's important.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm really proud of you. You're doing great work.
Well, thank you. I'm so amazed by technology and being able to do that with you right now in the middle of it. I mean, this is just so brilliant. And I know it's helping a lot of people watching too. So this is awesome feedback, and I'm very, very excited about that.
And you are courageous. This is courageous. To put yourself out there and step into this with both feet is beautiful to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk soon. Have a great evening and dream tonight.
Thank you.
And you can record your dreams if you want to write them down. If something hits you, journal about it. That's great. Put that in the journal.
I'll put my journal next to my bed, so this way I'll write it right in the morning.
Excellent. All right, perfect. Thanks, Lilou.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Bonne nuit. À bientôt.